If our house doesn't sell, we can't move to Albania. That is the reality that we are facing right now. But there's another part that we haven't talked about very much. Our house doesn't just have to sell, it has to sell for enough that we can still afford to make the move afterward.
The problem is that several similar houses in our neighborhood, including homes with our exact floor plan, are being offered for less. Those sellers may have room to keep lowering their prices. We don't.
And with high interest rates, more homes for sale, and buyers who can afford to wait, we are caught in a position that we never expected. Lowering the price might help us sell, but lowering it too much and selling this house no longer gets us to Albania.
So today, we're going to tell you where things really stand, what we're running up against, and the difficult decisions we may eventually have to make if the right buyer doesn't come along.
Y'all wanted the good and the bad and the ugly? Here you go.
It's ugly right now.
Because we have spent years planning this move. And right now, the entire plan is sitting behind a for sale sign in the front yard.
Right out there. When we first listed the house, we knew it might take some time to sell. We weren't expecting an offer on the first day, and we understood that the housing market had changed. We tried to be realistic from the beginning, but we believed that if we priced it fairly, kept it looking good, and gave ourselves plenty of time, we would eventually find the right buyer. And for a while, it looked like we had. We accepted an offer that was contingent on the buyers selling their own home. We understood there was some risk involved, but their house was on the market, so it seemed like everything was moving forward. Then their sale fell apart because of medical situations. And when their sale fell apart, their purchase of our house fell apart too.
Absolutely none of it had anything to do with our house. There wasn't a failed inspection. The buyers didn't discover a problem with the property or anything. It was simply a chain of events that we couldn't control. While we were under that contract, our house was effectively tied up. We lost valuable time. When the house returned to the market, the listing still shows all of the accumulated days it had been for sale. People looking online don't necessarily know the full story. They just see a house that's been listed for a long time and they are wondering what's wrong with it. Our listing now explains that the house came back on the market through no fault of the property, but still, we can't get that lost time back.
Since the house came back onto the market, we've reduced the asking price.
Twice.
Yeah. We've also seriously questioned whether the price is the problem. We're not so attached to a number that we refuse to listen to what the market is telling us. We've looked at the comparable homes, talked with our realtor, and received feedback from other realtors with their opinion. At this point, 4 different realtors have said that our asking price is appropriate. Our house is only 4 years old. It has been well maintained, and we've worked hard to make sure it shows as well as possible. We've also received very positive feedback from everyone who has seen it.
During one showing, the woman absolutely loved this house. She even called the kitchen her dream kitchen. So when you hear something like that, you immediately get your hopes up. You start wondering whether this might finally be the buyer. You leave the house. You wait for the showing to end and you keep checking your phone to see whether there are any new messages. Then a day passes and then another day passes and nothing. Another couple said that the house couldn't have been more perfect for them. They even had family members that live in the same neighborhood. Still, no offer. And one potential buyer absolutely loved the house, but it was a little outside their budget. They didn't even try to make an offer to see if we would go down at all. And that gets to the heart of what we're seeing. People can genuinely love a house and still be unable or unwilling to take on the monthly payment. Loving the house and being ready to buy it are two completely different things. Interest rates remain high, and recent world events have created even more uncertainty around the energy process, inflation, and where interest rates may go next. That uncertainty affects buyers, and at today's rates, even a reasonably priced home can come with a monthly payment that many simply can't or don't want to take on. People are also worried about the economy. Some may be waiting to see whether interest rates come down. Others may be concerned about their jobs or the rising cost of everything else here in the US. Buying a house is already an enormous commitment. When the future feels uncertain, it becomes much easier to just wait.
And buyers in our area, they also have a lot of choices right now. More homes have come onto the market in our neighborhood. And again, several with our exact same floor plan. Some of those sellers are asking substantially less, and at least one of them that's very similar to this house has already sold at a lower price. We can point to the condition of this house, how well it has been maintained, and the things that may distinguish it from another property. Those things matter, but buyers still see the prices. When someone can choose between several similar homes, they're naturally going to look closely at the less expensive ones. Buyers have the time to compare. They can negotiate. They may decide to wait for another price reduction or look for a seller who has had enough room to be able to accept a lower offer. It is very much a buyer's market.
We've heard people say that a house is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it, and we understand that. We also know that every seller has a different financial situation. Someone may have purchased their house at a different time. They may have made a larger down payment. They may have more equity or fewer selling expenses. They may be able to accept a much lower offer and still accomplish whatever comes next for them. We don't know their circumstances, and we're not criticizing them for making the decision that works for their family. But we don't have that same flexibility.
And after our house sells, the mortgage and all the expenses connected with this sale must be paid. What remains is supposed to help us make the transition to Albania. We'll likely need temporary housing before the move. We have documents to obtain and apostille, which we've got most of the paperwork done. We just need to get the stuff apostilled. We have travel arrangements to make and health insurance to purchase and expenses waiting for us when we arrive. We also need an emergency cushion. Moving to another country without one would be incredibly risky. Every time we lower the price, that money comes directly out of our transition.
Now, we're not expecting to make an enormous profit from this house. We're trying to leave with enough to make the next part of our lives possible. And that creates a line that we cannot afford to cross. A much lower price might produce an offer more quickly, but selling at a price that takes away our ability to move would defeat the whole purpose. We could sell the house, pay all the related expenses, and then discover that we no longer had the financial room to follow through with our plan. That's why just lower the price isn't a simple answer for us.
Now, our plan is still to move to Albania next March. We haven't changed our minds about that. We are continuing to research, prepare, and get rid of the things we won't definitely be taking with us over there. But the house has to sell for that plan to work. The longer it sits, the more pressure it puts on everything else. We can't make firm arrangements while we're waiting. We can't book one-way flights without knowing when we'll be free to leave. It's difficult to plan our final months in the United States when we don't know when or whether the house will sell.
There's also an emotional side to this that we weren't prepared for. Every showing brings a new ray of hope. We clean everything again. We make sure the counters are clear. We put everything away. We take George and we leave the house.
It's a pain.
Yeah, it is. And then we wait for feedback. When someone says they loved it, we begin thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe this time will be the one. But guess what? Nothing happens. And we start the process all over again.
Square one.
And meanwhile, we're mentally preparing for a completely different life. We're picturing ourselves in Albania while wondering, when in the world will we ever be able to leave Texas? We're sorting through our belongings, deciding what to keep and what to throw away, and we're talking about where we might live after we arrive. But at the same time, there's this enormous question hanging over everything. What happens if the house doesn't sell? And I'm going to be honest here. Living between those two possibilities is getting exhausting. This is ridiculous how this is going.
Yeah.
It's, can we just stop now? Someone come by our house, please.
All you rich people out there with money, you want this house. I know it.
It's not even that expensive.
We don't have a dramatic announcement or a secret backup plan that fixes everything. We're continuing to work with our realtor and watch what happens in the neighborhood. We'll consider the feedback we receive and keep making decisions based on the actual market. But we also have to protect ourselves financially. Selling the house is only one part of the goal. We need to come out on the sale in a position where the move is still realistic. If the house takes longer to sell, we may have to adjust our timeline. If prices in the neighborhood continue to fall, God help us, we may face some very difficult decisions then. We're not at the point of giving up on Albania, but we also can't pretend that the house sale and the move are separate issues. One depends completely on the other.
Now, we don't know whether the right buyer will come along next week, next month, or several months from now. We don't know what will happen with interest rates, inflation, or the larger economy. That lack of control may be the hardest part of this entire process because we know how much Diane, while my middle name is Patience, love to have control over things. I may have a slight control issue. Shut up. I may have a slight control issue. But you know what? We can keep the house clean. We can maintain it. We can price it based on professional advice. We can make it available for showings and we can respond to feedback. And we definitely cannot make somebody buy it. And because there is only so much we can control, we're trying to focus on the things that we can still do.
Get on the ground! Buy my house! You will get tased!
Stop resisting!
That's how you get them to buy the house.
Yeah. Dang. That was amazing. Seriously, though, we can keep preparing. We can continue getting our paperwork in order and we can keep reducing what we own and we can be honest about where things stand.
At some point, we may have to decide which matters more, keeping our original timeline or protecting the financial foundation of the move. That isn't a decision we have to make today, but we know it may be coming. Lowering the price far enough might bring in buyers. It could also leave us without the financial cushion we believe we need. Waiting longer might protect the price. It could also delay the move and create different sets of expenses. Why don't you just keep your house and rent it out? It'll give you an additional passive income, which is correct. However, in our area, it's cheaper to rent than it is to buy. We would have to rent it out for a cost higher than our house payment and the cost of hiring a property manager. There's no way that's going to happen here. So that idea definitely won't work either.
We have spent years planning this chapter of our lives. We've changed countries, changed timelines, and done more research than we've ever imagined that we would need.
And I want to retire.
Now, dang it.
I don't want to work anymore. I want to go, have fun, enjoy the rest of my life, our life together in a new place.
So come on.
New journey.
So much of that planning now depends on one thing that we cannot control. Someone has to choose our house. And until that happens, we remain caught between the life we're preparing to leave and the life we're trying, for the love of God and all that's holy, to begin.
And right now, our goal remains Albania. Our planned timeline is still next March. We believe the house is priced fairly, and 4 different realtors have said the same thing. But a fair price and a price someone is ready and able to pay in this particular market may not be the same thing.
And we know that there may eventually be another decision to make. How long do we continue waiting? How much flexibility do we really have? And at what point would the timeline need to change? And we don't have those answers yet. This is simply where we are today. We're still moving forward, but we don't know whether the housing market is going to let us move forward with the timeline that we planned. And as difficult as that is to say out loud, it is part of our journey. We know many of you have sold homes during difficult markets, and we would really love to hear about your experiences. How long did it take for your house to sell? Did the right buyer eventually come along, or did you have to make a major change to your plans? And if you're trying to sell a house right now, like we are, tell us what the market is like in the area that you live.
If you're new here, we're Matt and Diane. We're preparing to retire and move from Texas to Albania. We're sharing the entire process, the planning, the decisions, the setbacks, and hopefully eventually getting on that plane in business class.
We have the points. Let
We've
us
got
use
the
them.
points. I want to use them. I've never flown business and I want to be comfy.
So many things.
I want some of them socks.
Ah,
I want the mask.
no.
I want the comfy little seat in bed. I want the
I want things. We want things.
but wanting and getting right now at this point are very
That the truth?
slim, far, and in between.
How many times we heard that before? Want in one hand. I'll just leave that there.
Can I finish it?
Nope. Cannot. If you'd like to follow the rest of our journey, subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. Now, saying that and going forward, so if we're going to do a video on our progress, you might just see us sitting here like this. There's your progress.
Wait. Pitchfork. Picture it.
There's our progress. Still in the same spot. You can also join our Patreon for free. You can become a channel member. You can visit our merch store or support the channel through our Buy Me page if you feel so led. Every little bit helps, and we truly appreciate the gifts that we get from our members. We also release new videos every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central, and we go live every Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. Central.
The more we've learned about retiring abroad,
the more we've realized it is not about finding the perfect country.
It's about finding the right path.
Thank you for being a part of ours.
And we will see you next Saturday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.